Welcome to Monday Night Ticket. Guest and host will talk about their favorite sci-fi, paranormal, and fantasy movies on this 1-hour show. Guest and movies will be pre-announced so viewers can watch the movie before we talk about it. The audience is encouraged to chat with questions and post their views. Your host, Lee Warner, is an animal-loving, Jeep-loving girl, loves sci-fi movies and talking about them. She is full of random facts and has usually tried it at least once. Now, your host of Monday Night Ticket, Lee Warner.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Monday Night Ticket. I'm your host, Lee Warner, and I'm excited for our show tonight. Tonight, I have Jay Bachochin on, and we are actually going to be reviewing his movies that he made. So this is like having my own Steven Spielberg or Ridley Scott with me. So I'm excited. Just a few information about Jay. So Jay's from Wisconsin. He's a family man. He is the Midwest Cryptid Director of Goosebumps Paranormal in PA and founder of the Wisconsin Paranormal Investigators as of 2007. He's been on the Travels channels In Search of Monsters, also featured on Small Time Monsters, the Bray Beast Road, or the Beast of Bray Road. He has filmed 2 documentaries that we're going to talk about tonight. And these are of his own research that he has done on the people Bigfoot. And his 2 documentaries, our first film was Finding Jay in 2009, and then Beyond the Kettle, Finding Jay 2 in 2022. They're available on Amazon Prime or Paraflix, or you can actually buy a Blu-ray edition directly from Jay. And Jay is a graphic designer. He designed this shirt that I am wearing, but my favorite thing that I found out about Jay is that we are actually twins. How are we twins? We were not only born on the same day, the same month, but also the same year. So he's as close to a twin that I'm ever going to have. So without further ado, I would like to bring out Jay Bachochin.
Hey, how you doing, Lee?
Hello, Jay.
Yeah, see?
As good twins should. We're wearing the same shirt.
That's right. Thanks for the plug there.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're comparing me to Ridley Scott. That's a tall order. Come on. You know, I enjoy making films. And yeah, I always say it's like the things I make, are they going to be Oscar worthy? No, you're never going to please everybody about it. But, I'm glad you enjoy it.
Yes, I did.
I always said if I found somebody that actually watched my film and liked it, that was complete for me. It was a reward. So, and who knew it would be my twin?
Yeah, we researched it a little bit more. We were about an hour away from each other in the hospital, but
that's right.
I was like, that would have been fun if we were in the same nursery talking about Bigfoot in our baby language.
I know, right? I don't know. Back then, I mean, honestly, it wasn't until 2013 when I started kind of researching Bigfoot. Prior to that, I'd believe in the Loch Ness Monster and the Beast of Bray Road, werewolf or, those type of things. But I'm like, Bigfoot was never on my radar because, I saw the Patterson Gimlin film, back on, I think it was called Mysterious Monsters. I remember my dad taking me back in the 70s to the theater to see this movie. And it was like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, and Yeti, which was the same thing, but that was the show. And I even remember being a kid watching Patty Walk Away. I was like, what was I, 8 or 9 years old? And I'm like, it looks like a guy in a suit. That's what I thought back then. And then throughout, growing up and everything, you would still hear about it. But I'm like, there's so many people researching this. Where's the body at this point? Or where's a good photo? And, especially now in today's technology, everybody has a cell phone. Where's the great picture, So up until 2013, I was on the fence with it until that one fateful night in the Kettle Moraine. And it was October 19th. This is like 9:00 at night. There was like 4 of us out there, some from my previous team, before we dispersed. And I think at that point we were just kind of legend tripping and trying to look for the Beast of Bray Road. And that's when I heard that first vocal out there. And I always say I'm not an Outback Jack. I'm not Survivor Man. I don't know every woods call, but it did kind of creep the 4 of us out because we never heard it. And none of us, all being around the same age, have never identified it. And then the crappy digital camcorder I had caught a few samples of it. Not the best. It was, with a close mic like that, you really can't catch it. But that night, everybody went home, got on the computer, tried to find all the indigenous animals of Southeast Wisconsin,
Yes,
nocturnal and during the day, and tried to match the sound. And I didn't realize on how many sounds one animal can make, from the mating, distress. It doesn't matter which animal either, right? Whether it's an owl, a deer, a fox, we could never find a match. And I think it was at that point was the pivotal point that I started going, maybe there is something to it. But again, totally on the fence, because I always start off by saying, hi, I'm Jay Bachochin. I am of sound mind. You talk about Bigfoot and you're a Looney Tune. Now
well, hopefully not as much these days as before.
Correct. But back then, just think about, before Finding Bigfoot came out.
Yeah.
You talked about Bigfoot. It's the butt end of a joke. And even when I was doing that in 2013, I couldn't say that I was out in the woods looking for Bigfoot. I would say I'm out in the woods looking for a wood beast, or and then people would right away assume the Beast of Bray Road, because that's more believable. A dogman is more believable than Bigfoot.
Well, and everybody always thinks Bigfoot's just in Northern California, Washington State.
There was only one of them, and that was Harry and the Hendersons, and he went back home with his family.
Yeah, only one. Well, we do have a great audience here, and I want to just acknowledge them. Hi, Rez and Robin. And I know there's more people on here but their names don't show up in my
Hello,
feed.
Rez.
So
hello,
just
Robin.
Want to say hi to everybody and thank them for joining us.
Yes.
Now, so I did the bad thing. I Googled you besides your bio, which was fun. But you had what really caught me. Well, you were talking about it wasn't until 1979 where you first witnessed something paranormal. And it was a flying object over your house in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
And all you guys could say that was a UFO because, back then we didn't really know a lot. We couldn't say, oh, it was a Tic Tac.
Right. No, it was cool. It was a very long encounter with the 5 of us standing there and just looking at this thing spin, make no sound. It was a lot lower. I'm not the best judgment on how high it was, but it seemed low enough, lower than clouds. But it was, of course, at night, and this thing would just spin silently and just hover, and then it would be out, and then in a blink of an eye, it would be like across the lake, and you could just see it sitting there spinning. So it wasn't just lights moving, because today any lights you see in the sky, it's a drone. All right off the bat, it's a drone.
Yeah, but drones make noise.
Correct. Well, depending on how high they are and how big they are, there would be a lot of things that would go with that. But with this, it was a silent night, and it seemed low and it seemed big.
Could you tell a shape at all, or did you?
It was definitely circular.
Circular.
Yeah, and it was like lights were going around it, and the only thing I could do, and since we're of same age,
exact same age,
you would remember the Jupiter 2 from Lost in Space.
Yes.
And the thing is, but you couldn't see you couldn't see the shape of it. All you could see were the lights that were going around. But again, I always don't always go just by the lights. I go by movement. Mm-hmm. And this thing, it was incredible. I mean, the lights would just flicker off and it would be across the lake, from, who knows, maybe 600, 700 yards, 1,000 yards. And it would do that. And then it would just hover, and then it would blink out and then be somewhere else. So it was crazy.
Yeah. You said you watched it for a long time. And then you also had you and friends. I think you said you had like a 5-second blackout all together.
Yeah. And I'll try to speed these up because I can talk. It was right around, again, I had to have been 8 or 9 years old, and Star Wars just came out. They had the Star Wars figurines, the little plastic, whatever little thing, doll things.
Luke Skywalker.
And, yes, you remember those. And I was over at my neighbor's house, and his room, I mean, he had so much. He had everything. He had the Millennium Falcon. He had the Land Speeder. He had all these things. It was so cool. He had everything. And what was really cool is his room had like this big bench made right in front of the window. So where you could actually sit as kids, you could actually sit in front of the window. And so we were sitting there, and I remember it was during the day, blue skies, fluffy white clouds, the sun was out, and we're playing with our Star Wars figures, and all of a sudden everything went black. Now think about that. Even if you're looking at lights and you close your eyes, you could still kind of see the lights.
Exactly.
It went black. And it was weird because then all of a sudden everything went back on. And I'm looking at my friend at the time, and he's looking at me kind of confused. And he said, "Did the lights just go out?" I mean, again, we're just kids.
Yes.
8 or 9 years old. And I'm like, yeah. And that's the weird thing, because if it just happened to me, it could be something within my own body, my own system that way. But how does it happen to two people at the same time?
And during the day?
And during the day, everything went pitch black. Like you couldn't see anything. It just like everything just went, just lights out everywhere, just pure black for just that, for that 5 seconds. Then everything was right where it was. We didn't move. It didn't seem like we lost time. Again, back then I wouldn't know the difference about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now are you sure it was only 5 seconds? Because what what if it was longer than that and you just didn't pay attention?
And we didn't pay attention. So that's one of the things. So, but yeah, that was definitely kind of one of the things I'll always remember. Being that young, I don't remember everything, but that one definitely sticks out. As a matter of fact, I caught up with him again on Facebook after all these years, probably, I don't know, eight years ago. And, we got talking and everything. And I said, "Hey, do you remember that one time when we were in your room and we were playing Star Wars by the window?" And he goes, "Yeah, when the lights went out." And I'm like, whoa, he still remembers. So it wasn't me just imagining it.
It sounds like he remembers it just as well as you do too.
Right. So, I mean, who knows? Again, was there time lost there? I really can't say. It didn't feel like it. And we just continued with it. And we really never talked about it again. You hear these stories and you're like, wouldn't you be like sitting with your friend and always talking about what just happened? And we just didn't. It was just kind of a weird instance.
Yeah. You were 10 years old. You were playing. And
yeah.
And then you kept playing, so.
And we just kept playing and just didn't even think about it. Next thing you know, it's in my bio.
Well, and then I know I have pointed this out on my show. I had actually, before I ever met you, I got Paraflex, and I watched both of your shows, and I had watched the Finding J. I actually watched them backwards because the Finding J2 had just been released on Paraflix. I was like, oh, let's watch this. And I was like, oh, wait, there's another one. So
Yeah.
I watched them backwards. But
which is okay. And my first one, Finding J, came out 2019, and then the second one 2022. And the reason why I guess I would tell you to watch it not backwards, but the beginning and then the second one is because one person put it this way: the first film kind of opens the door and kind of leads you through the door. That's the first movie, and the second movie pushes you through the door. Who knows what the third one's going to be?
Very exciting.
Yeah.
So, and then this was fun. I got to meet you. You went to what, Horizon Outfitters? Is that their
Horizon Outfitters in Hartford, Wisconsin?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you had a film debut of, well, not really a debut, but you had a screening of your film, and I actually got to meet you in person. And of course, everybody was just fawning over you, so I barely got to talk to you. But
my ADD goes everywhere. It's just like I want to pay attention to every single person, and that always seems to happen when there's a lot of people around, especially because we're all like-minded interests, right?
Exactly. Otherwise, why would you be there?
Right. And then we could just sit and talk. I always say, hey, I'm just Jay. Talk to me. What's my passion? Well, my family, God, all these things. But, researching Bigfoot is a very big passion. And I like to listen to other people to see what they do, how they do it, what their experiences are.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I wish we had more time that day. And I remember it was one of those, it was June 2nd, wasn't it? And it was really hot. And I think the air conditioner upstairs was not working.
It was a very neat room to have it in, but yes, it wasn't it was a cool place, but in temperature wise, it was not a cool place.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. And you guys got to check it out. I will plug the store, Horizon Outfitters in Hartford. It is.
That's where I got my shirt from.
That's where I got mine.
They have a whole Bigfoot section. It's really cool.
They do. As a matter of fact, I bought a stained glass Bigfoot because it was the only one there, and I like one-of-a-kind things.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just, because you can always get the trinkets or the patty look or whatever anywhere, but I like, getting the unique things.
Yeah. Well, I like this shirt because you designed it.
Oh, thanks. And I signed it for you there too. If you look in there.
You signed my poster.
I know, but if you look on your shirt, my signature's on there.
Oh yeah. Yes, it is. Oh. So, in your movies, I like how you said you didn't do I'm going out finding Bigfoot. You said I'm finding Jay.
Yeah.
Which you went out there and you discovered more about yourself than.
Yeah, than more of what that is, because, I document everything. Ask my kids. If they're doing something, phone's up. I've got a couple of 5 terabyte hard drives just full of pictures, and I call it the abyss. But one day they'll be happy that I documented their life. But when I'm out in the woods, I do the same thing. Mm-hmm. I take video, pictures, and, when I first started doing this, I was not aiming to make a documentary. And why? Because there are so many documentaries out there. Number two, why would I try to convince everybody that Bigfoot is real or not? Because everybody's either has that opinion, Bigfoot's real or it's not. We all don't have one in our garage that we can study. Let's just be honest with that. We could do a lot of reading from a lot of great authors, but even those authors don't have one in their garage to study to be able to say this is 100%. So a lot of this is just opinion based. And I realized, as I was documenting. Yeah, I get asked to conferences like for back then for just being a vendor, not speaking or anything, because I didn't have a book, I didn't write a book, didn't have a movie, I wasn't on TV, but they would just ask me, would you want to just vendor? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, because I love to meet people, but I'm like, to vendor, you have to sell something. And I'm like, oh, I can make bumper stickers, I mean graphics and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh, I've got this one coming up in 2016, I think it was. And I'm like, why don't I just take some of my top evidence that I believe is evidence and put it on a DVD, make a little 20-minute slideshow of it, and sell those for $5. And it wasn't even about the money, obviously. It was more, I was a vendor. So I had to sell something. What could I really sell except myself? By saying, hey, I'm really into this. If you have any, unusual sightings of anything, ghosts, UFOs, Dogman, Bigfoot, aliens, whatever, report it to me. Well, everybody's doing that as well, because, the late, great Linda Godfrey was the true hub of Wisconsin, Michigan, because of the Beast of Bray Road. And, so making a long story longer, sorry about that.
That's why you're here, Jay.
That's why I'm here. You could just tell me to stifle it, like Archie would say to Edith Bunker anytime. Just stifle it, Edith.
Head. No, just kidding.
I know, right? So after I started putting this little DVD together to sell, as I was going through the footage and how I was speaking and how I'd break things down, I'm like, after so many years in the beginning of doing this, I'm like, I have something here. I have a story. I have a story to tell of how I started out and where I was the first 5 years of doing this. Because, like I said, I wasn't out looking for Bigfoot. I was out looking for some wood beast. That's what I called it. Never Bigfoot. And so next thing, I started putting this thing together. And then next thing you know, it was longer than Avengers Endgame. It was like 3.5 hours long. And I'm like, everyone's like, you got to keep it down to 60 minutes or under to be able to get in the film festivals. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get in the film festivals. I want to tell my story. So I did a lot of editing and cutting and got it down to right around 2 hours. And that was, the first one. And I was able to tell my story, and that was going to be it. I know there's a lot of production companies out there that keep pumping documentaries out one after another. And I wasn't going to be that. I'm my own one-man band. I write it. I film it. I direct it. If I want to talk to someone, I film them because I'm a videographer for weddings or commercials and stuff. So I have the equipment to film the people I want to talk to and edit. And so it took a long time, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get my story done. And it literally, at that point, when I was able to release it on Amazon Prime, it was like my mic drop. I'm done. I'm George Costanza. I'm out of here. Get out when the going's good.
You're George Lucas.
Or yeah, George Lucas. Well, then I'd have to go back and add some special, computer effects to things, which I don't do in my films. But I'm just saying it was my, when I say mic drop, I don't mean to be cocky or anything like that. It was more, I just want to tell people what I do in Wisconsin, and this is what's happening to me.
Exactly. And this is what's in Wisconsin, because you still find people that are like, oh, Bigfoot's just in Alaska or whatever,
right, Right. Yeah, whatever the TV tells us is true, right? But
hey, Nikki.
What's that?
Oh, Nikki joined. Sorry, Nikki and Michael are in here too.
So
now, if anybody has questions for Jay, make sure you pop them up in the chat. So
yeah, I'd love to answer any questions, because with this, out of my first film, both of my films are 100% fact-based. Do I add music to it? You have to, because if not, it would be like watching the movie Halloween without any music. There's no effect there. And you don't want to, snooze as you just hear crickets as we're walking along. But my film is 100% fact based. Like I said, I don't do any computer generated to add to it. Now, if I'm going to show you something that I saw that I was able to document, I will put, this is computer generated or a simulation.
Where you were talking about the different eye shines you saw.
Right. Yeah. That was in my first film. And it was weird because I was with two other guys. There was three of us that were all watching these. The better way to put it is like a laser from a laser pointer without the beam. That's how bright they were in the pure darkness without us shining any light into
so it's
the darkness.
Not eye shine, which is the back of the eyes reflecting light.
Right. It was like eye glow. And, because they were together, our mind matrix everything. You look at cloud. Yeah, pareidolia. You look up at the clouds and you see a bunny, a bear, a lion, whatever. Same thing at night in the pitch dark. You see two red lights together. Immediately, you're going to matrix that as eyes. Now, I didn't see what was behind the darkness. So again, it's always that. Okay, I didn't see the source that did this, or I didn't see the source that made this sound, or whatever. But over the years, I've realized that I started out believing that Bigfoot was just kind of a flesh and blood primate we haven't caught up with, and that's it. Nothing else spectacular except just a very intelligent primate we haven't caught up with yet. Today, totally different story. I believe it is flesh and blood. I think it's here, but I think it has so many other special attributes. You could almost say supernatural. I'm always careful with, if you say supernatural versus paranormal, because there are so many theories on it, and I'll never, proclaim that I know the answers to this, but it's just what I've experienced out there.
Unless Bigfoot shows up in your garage.
Unless Bigfoot, yeah, exactly. Because you always talk about how a Bigfoot can mimic. You've heard that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bigfoot can mimic. And it's like, but has anybody ever just sat down and say, hey, Bigfoot, do Rodney Dangerfield, mimic something, we don't know. We only go by the stories of the people that have encountered them, or even going back, talking to First Nation people,
yes,
that have them in their, I always hate to say legend, but in their life.
It's their history. They just had oral history.
Oh, exactly. So it's like if you can talk to them, take a piece of that, because everyone's always like, well, you got to have your BS meter on. Well, of course you do, but you still have to, I believe, have an open mind about it, because we don't know. I think if we keep it closed, then we're just saying that we already know what it is. So this is what we're going to look for, is what we know it is, without, the slightest, okay, so why are there only one footprints found instead of several? What's with this camouflage cloaking looking thing, which I've seen with my own eyes. I've seen with my own eyes actually this past January, and it was the coolest thing. And again, did I record it? No, but I saw it with my own eyes, and it was.
But you did have a camera on.
It
just wasn't facing the right way.
Well, no, that was in March. This was.
Oh, was that March? Sorry.
Yeah, this was in January. Where actually I was out with my oldest daughter and my 35-year-old nephew, and we get out there super early in the morning, sometimes around 5, pitch dark. Again, it's under 10 degrees. It's cold. You have your coffee. We bring some camping chairs, and we just kind of sit, just kind of scope out. And then when it gets a little bit lighter, then you kind of leave base camp a little bit, walk around. And my daughter saw this. She said it looked like the backside of a gorilla, but it was up in a tree going from one tree to another, but it wasn't moving. It was like a snapshot of this huge.
So it was moving so fast.
Maybe. Again, it wasn't, nothing was recorded. And again, I was walking with my oldest daughter, and it was just kind of freaked out about it. And I'm like, well, let's go walk down by those trees and see if there's any prints or anything. So we start walking down there, and just as we're, at that spot looking and talking, my nephew kind of went off to our left, probably a good 40 yards in front of us. And all of a sudden my daughter looks up at the tree line by the path, and she goes, "It's right there." And all of a sudden I'm like, wait, what? So I'm looking too, I'm like standing behind her, and she's like, "It's right there." I said, "Don't take your eyes off of it." I got my phone going, hit video. I said, don't look at your hand. I'm just going to put it in your hand, and I'm going to raise it up. Don't take your eye off of it. I've heard too many stories where you lift up a camera and you take your eyes off it, it's gone immediately.
Yes.
So, she's lifting it up, and she still sees it. And I'm looking beyond the wood line, and I'm like, all I see is woods, It was one of those, what are you looking at? And she's like, "Oh my God, did it just blink?" It's so convincing of what she saw. And I'm looking, and all of a sudden my eyes were not, going beyond she was looking beyond the tree line from the path, probably a good 25 yards in the woods. All of a sudden my eyes came more towards the path than the tree line itself. And all of a sudden I'm looking there, and all of a sudden something moves and stands behind a tree, the big tree I was looking at. And the only thing I could think of was Frodo or Harry Potter with a cloak on, that cloak thing. Mm-hmm. And it moved, and it went behind the tree. And why do I say it went behind the tree? Is because the distortion was to the right of the tree, and it was kind of shimmering type thing. And all of a sudden, as it went behind the tree or stepped behind the tree, nothing in front of the tree was like that anymore. So I could only assume, don't know for a fact, that it went behind the tree. Some people said maybe it went in the tree. Who knows what we're dealing with
I've
here?
heard that before too, but
correct. So whether it went in the tree or behind the tree, but the cool thing was, after my daughter was kind of done, maybe she lost it or whatnot, she walked down, and then my nephew came to me too, and my daughter was talking about what she was looking at. I was talking about what I was looking at. Then here comes my nephew, who's just black and white. Hey, I want to see a dogman or a Bigfoot or a gray alien out here. I don't want to see a ghost. I want to see, boom, black or white. And he walks up, and Maddie was already done talking about her thing, and he goes, "But here's something weird." And he's like really grounded. He goes, "I really don't know what I saw, but see this tree right here? Something shot from it, but it was like transparently cloaked, and it moved through all the brush and didn't make any sound through the brush."
Did it disturb the brush at all?
It did not disturb the brush at all. Like, went right through it. Now, that was the weird thing, because that was the tree that I just saw. Whatever was in front of it stepped to the side of it or behind it. And he must have seen it go from that point to the right, where my eyes didn't catch that. So again, what is it? Right away you're like, all right, you're out in the woods looking for Bigfoot. It must be a cloaking Bigfoot. I have no idea. But it was cool because people do talk about the cloaking effect and everything, and I saw it. Now, it wasn't like the, predator, full head, shoulders, arms, or anything. It looked more like the Pac-Man ghost that chased Pac-Man.
Okay.
Like Iggy or whatever, but it was kind of rounded at the top and then filtered down. So again, what are these things? Are they related? Don't know that answer yet, but that's what I'm doing out there.
And they seem to come out a lot when you have your Bigfoot bait with you, aka your daughter.
Yeah. I got oh man. It's the hate mail I get in reviews, which if you ever put something up on Amazon, I don't care if it's a documentary, a book, a painting you did, you're gonna get 50 people that love it, and then you're gonna get 100 people that just need to rip on you just because they can. And
it's like, no, you're out spending time with your daughter in the real world.
Yeah, it's like that's what I try to do with my son, and I've been doing that with him since he was 4.5, and same with my youngest daughter, since she was that young too. And I'd get him out of the house, be with dad.
Yeah,
Let's go in
exactly.
nature. We're not going out at night. These trails are hikeable.
Yeah,
in the winter,
the
they're gonna
Kettle
be
Moraine, one of the beautifulest places in the world and the United States, and especially Wisconsin, and we get to enjoy it.
Well, we get to enjoy it. Plus, we've never been an outdoor family. I've never been the dad saying we're going to go camping in a tent and start a fire and do this. And we're more like, if we do go camping, it's an RV in a campground. I mean, I'm just saying that's just kind of how it was. But just being out there, just to get them away from TV, technology, or whatever keeps them that way. It's like, I want to share that with them, and I don't want them to be scared because you hear a lot of people, I've been running around in the woods since I was 3. Their whole life they've just been in the woods. Well, they're not really woods people, but I like to bring them out there and let them experience nature.
Exactly.
And then oh man, you see some moms see that. I just got railed on Amazon, where it's like, I cannot believe what kind of
sorry to bring that up. I was only joking with you. I didn't realize that
it's weird.
I guess people are rotten, so most of the time.
Exactly.
So Robin wants to know how old it's Maddie?
Madison. My oldest daughter right now is 33, and my youngest is turning 12. So I'll let you fill in the blanks through my life. But yeah, my oldest daughter, I call her Maddie, or Mad. Her name's Madison, and she's the one that comes out with me during the night, or during the night and the mornings, and she's the one who saw that. She said it's almost like a Polaroid picture because it wasn't moving, but it was up in the air and it was in between two chairs. Yeah, it was kind of weird.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I like how your approach too. Talk about this.
Oh yeah, the hand signal that actually happened because when I first started going out into the kettle, where I would film or document, I should say, I always brought this like really big rig. I called it my all-in-one. I could put my iPhone on it. I could put my HD with infrared on it. I could put an infrared light on it. I had a spotlight on it. Now, just imagine this is all one piece of equipment, and it was kind of bulky. And when I'd walk out there recording in my normal HD camera and with my bright light. And I would just walk around the kettle. And we're looking for Bigfoot tonight. And I'm thinking, after a while, I thought, if we were out in the woods, let's say, Lee, me and you were out in the woods and it was dark, okay? And I usually hike in the dark, or I hike with a real low red light. And let's just say we were standing there in the dark, and all of a sudden we saw 2 flashlights way down the path walking towards us. They're kind of bouncing. What's your first instinct at that point?
Hide. No.
Correct. No, and that's the number one answer that people say. And the reason why you want to hide is why? Because you don't know their intentions. People,
exactly.
They're dangerous, right? So that's when I started thinking, why am I walking around with this big rig? Because I am nothing but a threat. I'm coming in aggressive into the woods. Everything's going to stay away from me. So that's when I started getting rid of all the equipment, putting it in bags, got a body cam, Then this is getting to the hands thing. So it all started this way in mid 2015, when I walked out there with nothing, and I put my hands up, and I'm like, or actually up like this, and then I turn them, and I was pointing at the woods, and I'm like, see, nothing in my hands. I don't want to be a threat. Nothing in my hands. Then I'd go, give it a wave. then I'd always hear a raccoon or possum laugh when I do that because I'm talking to the woods and waving to the woods. But that's what became a joke. The hand signal now became kind of my personal calling card when I come in. And the reason for that, because there's a reason behind everything I do, is I'm hoping that one day, if it happens in my lifetime and I do make contact, wouldn't it be kind of cool to see a Bigfoot just walk onto the path at a nice safe distance and do this? And it would be like, that would be contact. That it was a form of communication. We now connected.
Well,
now what's the next
they
step?
knew what your intent was and they recognized you.
Right. Well, exactly. I mean, the way I always look at it is, I always talk about the Kettle Moraine and the areas I research. Look, they're private to me because I like to, I've been doing it for 10 years and, it's not Jay's land, it's God's land. The last thing we want to do as researchers, which I respect everybody out there, but I'm just, a small fish in the pond compared to some of these other, big people out there that have the money, the equipment, more time, and they may not do it the same as I do or vice versa, but we all kind of have that same purpose. And I believe that is to understand what they are, who they are, I should say, because I used to call them creatures. I don't anymore. I call them people.
The people.
They're the first people. And that, at least that's what my heart tells me, because
that's what my heart tells me too.
And the thing is, and it's why it's like, we still have to be, we're still scientific no matter what, because we're humans and we do this. So you have to ride the fence of saying there's not a Bigfoot behind every tree. However, depending on where you are, and I always say spiritually, that makes, I think, a really big difference in how you approach or what you can be open to understand that. My foundation is the Holy Bible. It is. Now, that doesn't make me perfect by any means. Trust me. I'm just as bad of a sinner as anybody would be out there. But you know what? It's like, hey, Jesus died for my sins, and I believe what I believe what I read because I can feel it. It's not just words or being gullible. It's a faith. And if you have that faith, and this is me, I always say this is how I approach it, then what the Bible is speaking of is correct. You can't nitpick. This belongs to me. This doesn't belong to me. This was written by a bunch, 12 drunk guys, and it was just misinterpreted over the years. So now it's just an adult fairy tale Christmas story. No, it's real. But the thing is, with that, it's like they're saying Noah, his son, was 800 years old. So again, do you blow that out of, do you say you're reading too much into it? He was 80. They just threw an extra zero. No, it was 800 years old. The Nephilim came down, right? They made
the fermentation.
Yes.
Yeah, when it didn't rain. And I mean, there's a reason why Michael Jackson was in that whatever thing. It was supposed to be like what it was, which extended the people's lives.
Well, exactly. So again, it comes down to the spirituality that I have, that when I go out into the woods, it's more, it doesn't become this scientific, I need to prove it to you, right? This is more what I'm going through myself, and to be able to share it. You inviting me on your show tonight is great because I'm able to speak about that to like-minded people. Now, do I walk around like this all day long? No, I'd be fired from my job. My wife, who loves me dearly, supports me, and I love her for that. She's not where I'm at with.
She's like, we're going to my parents' house. Do not bring up the people. No,
don't bring. Well, exactly. And then going over to the in-laws, I'm going to bring that up. No, another Christmas story.
I wanted to ask you, since you have movies out and stuff, do you get recognized at all, especially around here in Wisconsin, where people come up to you and go, oh, you're Jay, let me tell you about my Bigfoot story.
Yeah, it makes me sound like Joey from Friends, that I have to send a bottle of wine to myself saying, "Oh, stop it." No, believe it or not, no, I don't think I ever have. I've had a few people, look at me do double takes for whatever
Like, I
reason.
know him from somewhere.
Right. I could have been somebody's doppelganger. Who knows?
Or twin.
or a twin. But no, nobody's ever really said that. I think my youngest daughter said that once. She goes, "Wouldn't that be cool if we was like sitting in a Culver's and somebody came up to you?" And I'd be like, I think it would be kind of weird because no matter what, I still think of myself as just Jay Bachochin of sound mind, doing what I do in life, enjoying life, passion for life, working, going to church, being home with the family, going to volleyball games with my sons, and all these different things. And maybe that's how the celebrities feel, the ones that are on TV that are more seen by more people. Of course, TV is gonna definitely reach a lot of different places that Amazon Prime hasn't, right? How many people have Amazon Prime and are members, but how many of them really are into paranormal? Maybe some. How many are into Bigfoot? It's just small pie. But I do get a lot of messages from like the UK, from Australia, Canada, just different people that just wanted to reach out and said they saw my movie, and that's great. I love it. I'll answer anybody who messages me. So that's what I do. But
well, Courtney says she's getting the Charles Ingalls from Little House on the Prairie vibe from you, and I can see that.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Paul. I know. That's kind of a guilty pleasure. Sometimes my wife will put that on, and I'll be like, "Oh, you could, you don't have to turn it off. Just leave it on."
You can.
Maybe it's nostalgic from my childhood.
So I pretty much camp, and during the summertime, I camp almost every weekend. I'm out there.
That's awesome.
And I don't like it when people are using flashlights because it ruins my night vision. Just for Sin, if she's watching this, I'm like, turn off your flashlight. You're ruining my night vision. But I find that it's easy, once your eyes get adjusted, it's easier to see.
Yep.
At night. And then something else, when you were talking about when you read the Bible, it sounds like I strongly feel that one of my gifts of the Spirit is discernment, where when I hear something or read something, it's like, okay, the Spirit tells me, yes, that's true. And that's, I have faith, but it's like deep down, I know it's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, and I think we always have to follow that. What I always tell people is, there's approximately 8 billion people in the world, and each of them has their own truth. Therefore, you got to get out and discover it for yourself to find your truth. If you're really into Bigfoot and you really don't know because you're on the fence, but you're into it, go out, go camping once a week or once a month or something.
Get out in the woods, walk.
Get out in the woods and find it. Exactly.
And look up too.
Look up UFOs,
So you had mentioned finding J3.
Yeah. I'm always careful when I say that because there's listening ears here. No, I'm just joking. My wife said, you got to give it at least 12 months before you even think about another one. And the reason why is because when I dive into these, it absorbs so much of my time.
Yeah.
You got to understand is I still have to work, make money.
You still have to work for the man.
Still got to work for the man, and I still get out and what I call hunting the truth or hiking. I never say squatching or Bigfooting. I go out and hike, and I enjoy that, and I need that. And of course, going to different things my kids are doing. There's a lot there. So once I start a project like this, it really, I don't have anybody else. I'm a one-man band. I write it, I direct it, I film it, I put it together, I edit it, and it takes a long time because when I put something out, I want it to be of my best quality, my best effort for this time to put out instead of the quantity. Because right when Beyond the Kettle Finding J2 came out, within a month or two, people were like, when's part 3 coming out? And I'm like, it'd be so easy just to slap, meatball surgery and just put everything together and just say, hey, here it is. Here's part 3. No, there's got to be a reason for it. And almost like I have to be
right.
And I've got to be called to do it, because I'll tell you right now, I don't have a yacht or a Lamborghini from making these. People
Not
that
yet.
no, people that have documentaries or write books, you would think, wow, they're published. He's on Amazon Prime.
I don't even have a Death Star. No.
Yeah, right. But it's when it is I pretty much want it to be.
I just have Queen Amadella's cruiser.
Sorry. Oh, nice. Well, you know what? You just got to
Squirrel. Sorry.
I do it all the time. My son did that out. See, I just changed the subject because you said it. When he was younger, and we're walking and talking, and he's saying something. I'm like, yeah. And in the middle of a sentence, he goes, "Oh, look, a squirrel." I mean, he couldn't say it any better because the squirrel passed us on the path. And I go, "Oh, that's ADD." And he goes, "It is." Oh, I go, we kind of laughed about it. But it's part 3 will always be in the works right here for now. It's not even in pre-production at this point, but everything that's happened to me in 2023, just this year, which I think I've only gone up to 2020. In early 2021 was the end kind of where I went to with Beyond the Kettle Fighting J2. So I still have a couple of years of stuff that I want to look at. I just don't want to put it out and say.
So do you want to say the big moment that happened to you this year that I was so happy for you?
Oh, yeah. This one's always hard to talk about because what do I do? I'm out researching. I made documentaries. So of course Jay has to see a Bigfoot, right? Well, my friend Bryn asked me to come up and check out some of this property buyer, which is not the area I research, but by stone's throw, it's in the same kettle. Okay. And I go up to visit her on a Saturday in March 24th. I can tell you the time and everything because it was just so vivid. It was a freak snowstorm that day. And so we get up there to hike, and she wanted to show me all these tree structures. I mean, they were incredible. I mean, like cathedral style. Like, again, you would say if people were to do this, you would need, 20 guys, couple ladders. You'd have to get equipment out there to lift this stuff up, which there's no room for. Just incredible. And so we went out there and I documented. It was like a winter wonderland out there because it was like these, 4-story pines that were just like groomed all the way up to about 30 feet or higher. And so you could just look through the woods, right? And we were out there for 3.5 hours, just documenting, trudging through snow. And we're getting ready to leave from the point where we started. So I can see into the woods about 120 yards before I think a field is back there because it got a little whiter because I could see all the snow and the snow on the side of all the trees. And I do my goodbye with my hands. I'm like, all right, see you guys. Hopefully I see you over on my side next week or whatever. And Bryn had her back. So she's kind of facing me off to the right. I'm looking this way, which my body cam is usually right on this side here, and facing forward. And my head, of course, swivels, but not my whole torso. And I look to the right, and I always relive it right over when I get to this point, and it's always the difficult one because it's like I don't know, it's almost like seeing presents for the first time when you were a kid. Like it was that real on Christmas morning, it was whoa. And I see this jet black figure going from right to left. I could see its head, shoulders, and it looked like if the arm was there, it was all the way down to its side, and it glided as if it was on skis just for about 2 seconds. But it was, my best guess is about 70 yards, 75 yards away, but I could see the whole definition of this being, and broad daylight, jet black. It stood out like a sore thumb against anything that was in the woods. And the weird thing is that when I'm looking out there, like I could just see like woods everywhere, right? Trees everywhere. It came from nowhere, and I'm watching it, and then it went behind like 2 or 3 trees, but then I should still be able to see it continue running or whatever it was. And it never went anywhere else. It was like just there and then gone. And I'm staring at the spot, gasping, which I don't gasp. You know, I always say, if you get a present, you're like, oh, like how girls do. Sorry.
Well, I think it was your Christmas morning. It was a present, and that's why you were the only one who got to see it, because they just wanted you to see them, or she wanted you to see them that day.
Yeah. So some Native American First Nation people have told me that as well. And then it gets even harder because it gets deeper. Is why me? All right. I'm, on the tracks of, not finding Bigfoot, because when I go out there, my first film, Finding Jay, has a whole different meaning, because it's not, I don't think we as people will ever find Bigfoot, but I think Bigfoot will find us. And that's where it's, from a Bigfoot perspective, it's Finding Jay. So they're looking for me just as much as I'm out there, just trying to create that trust.
And I think they're very intelligent, and that they know our hearts, and they know good people from bad people. And I hate to do this because you are so interesting to talk to, but we are out of time.
Oh, wow. That hour went by quick.
Hour went by fast, and
wow.
It was such a pleasure to talk to you and to introduce you to, some people who may not have met you or heard of you, and getting people out there and getting them to see your documentaries I can't talk. It's Monday, but you are such a great guest.
Well, thank you. You're a great hostess, and I appreciate you having me on. And you could always come and just check out jbachochin.com.
Exactly.
And then my links are to my Facebook. And I will be speaking in Janesville, Wisconsin, October 24th.
Okay.
That's going to be, just go to my news and events on my page if you want to stop there and check that out. So I appreciate, getting the screen time like this. I always love talking about it, and I wish we had hours to do it.
I do too. Of course, love seeing you, my twin. And, whenever you need someone to come out in the woods with you, I'm there. I was in the Air Force. I've been through survival school. I'm there for you.
All right.
And I even know how to work a camera.
All right. Well, definitely. Well, there's definitely a long time to go. So that's good.
All right. Well, we are on the hour, and I don't want to cut into Christina's show, so we got to go. But thank you. Wonderful guest. Thank you. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you haven't seen his shows yet, watch them. Thank you, Jay.
Oh, well, thank you, Lee. Bye.
Everybody have a nice night.
The truth is here and now on WLTK-DB Talk Radio at WLTK-DB.com.